Okay, students. Today's field trip is brought to you by social norms. Conventions that govern society's behaviors are often unspoken. We reveal a lot about ourselves through nonverbal cues. So today, we'll test to see how good you are at reading them. One of these three couples is married. The other two couples are actors that met just before our class today. From body language alone, can you tell the real couple from the imposters?
Margie and Todd, married 5 years. They have a schnauzer named Bentley. Scott and Linda have been married 32 years and just returned from a world cruise. And finally, Beth and Courtney, they're newlyweds who just honeymooned in Vegas.
So which is the real couple?
Results are very mixed.
That's not surprising. All of our couples exhibited nonverbal cues that signal romantic involvement. Public displays of affection are so universal that two people can convince you that they were married for years, even though they're strangers, like Margie and Todd. Touch, like handshake or holding hands, establishes trust and connection, but Beth and Courtney used it to deceive you.
Scott and Linda are the real deal.
And if you paid attention closely, you might have noticed a common cue from a long-term couple, like mimicry.
Similarity in gestures and facial expressions, even wrinkles.
Scientists attribute this to decades of shared emotions. So, in the real world, can you tell the romantic couple from the platonic one? Quick pop quiz. Out of all the 12 cards, how many spades are there?
3.
3.
Are you sure about that? Look closely. There are 5 in total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We don't count the 2 red spades, only the 3 black. Our mind sees what it expects to see.
Hey, I saw you hitting on my girlfriend. Don't lie.
I would never do that. Please just chill out.
No way. I want you to admit it. I want you to admit it right now or you're going to regret it.
Well, hey, someone stop him. He took my phone.
So, now they got your hearts racing a little bit. The crime you just saw. I'm gonna ask you some questions about it. Okay, get ready to lock in your answers. What type of bag was Rizwan holding? Was it a backpack, a duffel bag, or a laptop bag? Go. Remember the guy that was yelling at Rizwan? What color was his shirt? Was it yellow, green, or blue? Okay, last one. What kind of hat was the thief wearing? This one's open-ended. Now, from 0 to 100%, how sure are you of your answers? Wow. So some of you were 100% sure. Thanks to a hidden camera, we can see what it actually was. There's a laptop bag, a green shirt, and that last question was a trick one. He wasn't wearing a hat. So let's see the results. Only 15% of you got all 3 answers right. Under stress, people are often wrong. Even so, some are quick to judge, and they will say that they are 100% sure. And someone who is 100% sure can only be sure of one thing, that they are overconfident. Why do we learn the wrong lessons from low probability events? Take texting and driving. We know it's a bad idea. So why do so many of us still take that risk?
Because we're irrational in some way you're about to tell us.
Okay, I walked right into that. But she's right, we are. Imagine the actual risk of crashing while texting is 2%. And every time you don't crash, you update your internal risk barometer. After a while, you feel so secure that you're texting even more. This, my friends, is called the faulty learning cycle.
Our real risk never drops.
But our feelings about that risk, based on our limited experience with crashing, lie to us. So, the next time you get away with texting and driving, remember, you got lucky. And you could always use my method, which is rarely text and never drive. Phoebe did an experiment to test the best way to get people to respond to surveys. We tested 2 groups. Our control was given questions with typical open-ended blank spaces to respond. Our second group was given surveys with pre-written incorrect answers. Both groups were told they didn't have to respond to the questions. Phoebe found that when students were given surveys with missing information, they were less inclined to respond. But when given surveys with pre-written incorrect answers, students had a compulsion to correct that information.
I think we can work with that. We just need some deep dive fan knowledge that only a hardcore stan like Universe would know. Universe's socials confirmed he's at the event.
Welcome to the UniKing Fan Brunch. I'm your host, and you've all been invited to this very exclusive event because you are the biggest Uni fans on the planet. Give yourselves a round of applause. Congratulations. All right, we're gonna kick things off with some Uni trivia. So everyone knows Uni's favorite color is. So much so that she mentions the word purple in Korean, and count them, 6 of her songs. But here's a tough one. Anyone remember what shape her earrings were at the 2021 Korean Music Awards? Anybody? Too hard, huh? They were triangles.
They were stars, actually.
All right, I'm sure everyone knows Uni was born on April 2nd, which is why her favorite numbers are 4 and 2. But did you also know that she was born at 4:02 a.m.?
Okay, wrong. Her birth certificate says she was born at 2:40 a.m., but in an interview with a Korean magazine, she said she was born at 2:40 p.m. 4:02 is just wrong.
Whoa.
$5, that's Universe.
He's a troll. I had to cancel my account because of him.
He doxed me because I refused to delete a Damon appreciation post.
Someone should dox him.
That's
dox
no,
You're a real tough guy behind the keyboard.
don't.
Yeah, take his picture.
Get out of the way!
Alec, you hurt.
I'm fine. See if you can get him. I'll call Mendoza.
Security, suspect is heading east, past vendor.
Out of the way.
Good morning. I see you all received your free thermal mugs. Now, if I wanted to buy that mug back from you, how much would you charge? Raise your hand if you'd sell it back to me for $15. How about 20? 25? What about you? More than 25? Last week, when I showed you a picture of this mug, most of you said that you wouldn't even pay $5 for it. What changed?
Inflation?
Besides inflation.
Ownership?
Ding, ding, ding. Now that you own it, you'd want more to give it up than you would have paid to get it.
Oh, the endowment effect.
So you have been paying attention. Additionally, if I would ask you to name a price tomorrow, you'd give it an even higher value. The longer we possess something, the more we value it. In 1961, Yale psychologist Stanley Milgram conducted an experiment where participants who were not allowed to communicate with each other were assigned the role of teacher, and actors were cast as learners. Then the teachers subjected the learners to a barrage of memory questions. Anyone here familiar with what happened next?
Milgram ordered the teachers to administer an electric shock whenever one of the learners got an answer wrong, but the shocks weren't real.
Gold star. The actors pretended to be in terrible pain, and they begged the teachers to stop. And when the administrators told the teachers to keep going, nearly all of them did. The teachers' obedience was much, much more powerful than experts originally expected. Now, what was Milgram trying to demonstrate with this? Phoebe?
We want to believe that ordinary people wouldn't perform heinous acts just because an authority figure asked us to. But in reality, many of us do. And there's no way to predict who will or won't.
Exactly. Milgram's research has been very valuable. But by modern university standards, it's considered unethical.
Why?
Deception. The participants really believed they were hurting, even endangering the life of another. Some later reported psychological and emotional distress, even PTSD.
Now that leads me to your assignment. I'd like each of you to devise your own version of this experiment, my TAs included, and you must uphold Walton's ethical standards. Now, you can share your ideas amongst each other, and it is due tomorrow. So go, be fruitful. Thank you.
Is an ethical Milgram experiment even possible?
I guess it's our task to find out.
Everyone can see the shirt that Rizwan is wearing on the screen. On your devices, indicate the colors in this shirt. I know, it seems obvious. Everybody entered? Okay, let's look at the results. 57% say black and blue. 43% white and gold. And you're all correct. How?
People have variations in the cone cells in their retinas, so even when looking at the exact same object, we may all see it differently.
It's a great theory. Rizwan, I want you to tell them the theory you came up with.
It could also involve subconscious framing. Our memory may associate the image with something we've seen before or how we expect it to look.
Fair point. The takeaway, ladies and gentlemen, is you can't always trust your eyes. Hey, good morning, good morning, good morning. So, you all know me as your professor, but I also play different roles in my life. I am a mentor. I am a semi-professional chess player. I am a 4.95 rated Uber passenger. Apparently a social comedian. Point is, we all play different roles in life.
But those roles can take on a life of their own. In a recent experiment, Rizwan and I had 20 students take a math test, but we gave half of them the answers at the bottom of the sheet.
To no one's surprise, the students who had the answers scored higher, and half of them received a certificate declaring them high math achievers. A certificate in hand, these students started to believe they were better at math than they really were.
We brought that same group back to take another math test, but this time we asked the students to bet on how well they do. The students with the certificates bet twice as much on themselves. And how did that turn out, Phoebe?
They overestimated their abilities, 100% of them.
Or as they'd say, 110%.
So, today, we're going to talk about self-deception, which can be insidious. So when you take on these different mantles of your life, it's really hard to remember what is real and what is simply playing a part.